Hello, everyone. Tonight we're stepping into the golden sands of ancient Egypt, where the Nile whispers secrets and the Pharaoh's palace glows under a dawn sky. Close your eyes, let your shoulders soften, and imagine the warmth of a desert sunrise wrapping around you like a soft blanket. You're not just anywhere, you're in the heart of Thebes, standing in the grand palace of a pharaoh, where every stone hums with history. Feel the cool marble under your feet, hear the distant lapping of the Nile, and breathe in the scent of lotus flowers drifting through the air. This is a place of splendor, where gods and mortals mingle, and tonight, you're part of it. Let's ease into this world, slow and steady, as the day in the pharaoh's court begins. You might drift off in a few minutes, lulled by the rhythm of this ancient life, and that's perfectly fine. So, before you get too cozy, relax and slip into sleep. Take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy what I'm doing here. Oh, and drop a comment with your location and local time. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Now, turn off the lights. Maybe switch on a fan for that gentle hum. And let's begin tonight's journey. You blink awake, though your body feels light, as if you're floating on a cloud of linen. The air is warm, kissed by the first rays of sunlight spilling through tall, open windows. You're standing in the pharaoh's palace, its walls adorned with vivid paintings of gods and kings, their eyes seeming to follow you. The floor beneath you is polished alabaster, cool against your bare feet, and the faint scent of myrrh lingers, curling from a bronze brazier nearby. You hear a soft rustle servants glide past, their sandals whispering against the stone, carrying trays of folded linens and jars of scented oils. They move with purpose, yet their steps are unhurried, as if time itself bows to the pharaoh's will. You take a deep breath, letting the warmth settle into your chest, and feel your shoulders loosen. This is the start of a day in the court, and you're here to witness it all. The palace is alive, but not chaotic. It's a symphony of quiet order, each note played just so. You turn your head and catch the glint of gold on a servant's arm, a bracelet shaped like a scarab, symbol of rebirth. Fun fact, the Egyptians believed scarabs rolled the sun across the sky, just like they rolled dung across the sand. A bit gross, sure, but kinda poetic. Don't you think you smile to yourself, imagining a beetle pushing the sun along? The servants don't notice you, but you feel connected to this place, as if you've stepped into a story. Your grandparents might have whispered a tale of far-off lands and timeless wonders. That's the magic of Egypt, isn't it? It feels like home, even if you've never been. You follow the flow of servants down a wide corridor, its ceiling painted with stars that seem to twinkle in the morning light. The walls tell stories in hieroglyphs, tales of pharaohs battling chaos, offering gifts to Ra, the sun god. You pause, tracing a carved lotus with your eyes, its petals curling delicately. History records that pharaohs like Ramses II lived in palaces like this, their courts bustling with hundreds of attendants. Ramses, known as the Great, ruled for 66 years, building temples that still stand today. But here, in this moment, it's not about conquest. It's about the rhythm of daily life, the heartbeat of a civilization. You wonder, what did it feel like to wake up as Pharaoh, knowing you were seen as a living god? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious what you think. As you move forward, the air grows sweeter, heavy with the scent of fresh bread and something floral jasmine, maybe. You pass an open courtyard where palm trees sway, their fronds casting lacy shadows on the ground. A fountain burbles, its water catching the light like scattered jewels. You feel a breeze, soft as a sigh, and your eyelids grow heavy. Let your breath slow, matching the gentle ripple of the water. The court is waking, but there's no rush, no tension. Scholars still debate whether pharaohs truly believed they were divine or if it was a clever political tool. Either way, The palace feels sacred, like a place where heaven touches earth. You notice a servant balancing a tray of pomegranates, their ruby skins gleaming. Oddly enough, Egyptians use pomegranate juice as a toothpaste talk about a fruity smile. You chuckle softly, your body sinking deeper into calm. The corridor opens into a vast hall, its columns soaring like trees in a stone forest. Each is carved with scenes of the Nile crocodiles, reeds, and herons frozen in mid-flight. You hear a low hum, the sound of voices chanting somewhere distant, perhaps priests greeting the dawn. Your heart slows, syncing with the pulse of this place. You're not just a visitor. You're part of the court, wrapped in its warmth, its beauty. The day is just beginning, and there's so much more to see. For now, let your mind drift, carried by the soft clink of gold jewelry and the rustle of linen. You're safe here, in this ancient world, where time feels endless. You glide from the grand hall, your bare feet brushing the cool stone floor, still carrying the warmth of the dawn light in your chest. The air shifts, growing heavier with the scent of sacred oils and the faint tang of incense. You're drawn toward a smaller chamber, its entrance flanked by statues of Anubis, their jackal eyes gleaming in the flicker of oil lamps. This is where the pharaoh begins his day, not with pomp, but with quiet reverence. You feel your breath slow, matching the rhythm of this sacred space, as if the walls themselves are whispering for you to relax. The world outside fades, and you're here, in the heart of ancient Egypt, where every sunrise is a gift from the gods. The chamber is dimly lit, its walls painted with scenes of the Nile's flood, the water rendered in blues so vivid you can almost hear it lapping. A low platform stands at the center, draped in white linen, where the pharaoh, your pharaoh, prepares for his morning rituals. He's not yet the towering figure of statues. He's a man, wrapped in a simple kilt, his shoulders bare under the golden light. You stand at the edge, unnoticed, as priests in white robes move with practiced grace. One carries a bronze basin, steam rising from the warm water within, scented with myrrh and lotus. Another holds a linen cloth, soft as a cloud. You inhale deeply, letting the floral warmth fill your lungs, and feel your shoulders loosen further. The priests begin, their voices a soft chant, like a lullaby woven into the air. They pour water over the pharaoh's hands, the droplets catching the light like tiny stars. You notice the care in their movements, each gesture deliberate, as if they're not just cleansing a man, but honoring a living god. History tells us these rituals were daily, rooted in the belief that the pharaoh's purity ensured Ma'at order and balance for all Egypt. Without Ma'at, chaos would swallow the land. You wonder, how did it feel to carry that weight every morning? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. You step closer, your eyes drawn to a priest holding a small alabaster jar. He dips his fingers inside, scooping out a paste that smells oddly fishy. Here's a strange tidbit. This is sunscreen, made from crushed ostrich eggs and, yes, fish oil. The Egyptians slathered it on to protect their skin from the blazing sun. You stifle a giggle, imagining the pharaoh smelling like a Nile catch. It's a reminder that even gods had to deal with sunburns. The priest smooths the paste over the pharaoh's arms, and you notice the faint shimmer of his skin, like he's glowing from within. Your eyelids grow heavy, lulled by the priest's chants and the rhythmic drip of water. The ritual shifts as a priest presents a golden collar, its inlaid lapis lazuli glinting like the night sky. He drapes it around the pharaoh's neck, the metal cool against his warm skin. You hear the soft clink of the beads, a sound that seems to echo in your chest, slowing your heartbeat. Scholars still debate whether these ceremonies were purely spiritual or a way to reinforce the pharaoh's divine image for political gain. Either way, the air feels charged, as if the gods themselves are watching. You let your mind drift, picturing the Nile outside, its waters reflecting the rising sun. The chamber feels like a cocoon, safe and timeless, wrapping you in its calm. A breeze stirs the linen curtains, carrying the scent of fresh reeds from the river. You glance at the pharaoh, now standing taller, his eyes fixed on a small statue of Amun-Ra, the sun god. The priests offer a tray of bread and honey, a symbolic gift to the divine. You imagine the taste sweet, sticky, warm from the ovens. Your stomach rumbles softly, and you smile, feeling connected to this ancient world, where even breakfast was an act of worship. The priests step back, their chants fading, and the pharaoh turns toward the door, ready to face the day. You follow, your steps light, your body sinking deeper into relaxation. The chamber's stillness lingers as you move into a corridor, the walls now carved with scenes of pharaohs offering lotus flowers to the gods. You hear distant laughter servants, perhaps preparing the court for the morning. The air is alive with possibility, yet there's no rush, no urgency. You feel safe here, carried by the slow pulse of this world. Let your breath deepen, matching the gentle sway of the curtains. The pharaoh's day is unfolding, and you're part of it, drifting through this golden age where every moment feels eternal. You drift from the sacred chamber, the pharaoh's ritual lingering in your mind like the fading scent of myrrh. Your feet glide over the cool stone floor, following the soft clatter of servant sandals down a sunlit corridor. The air grows sweeter, alive with the aroma of warm bread and ripe fruit, pulling you toward a grand hall where the court gathers for the royal breakfast. You feel your breath slow, matching the unhurried rhythm of this place, as if the Nile itself is rocking you gently. Your shoulders loosen, and the golden light spilling through tall windows wraps you in warmth, inviting you to sink deeper into this ancient morning. The hall is a marvel, its ceiling painted with lotus blossoms and soaring ibises. Their wings spread as if caught mid-flight. Long tables of polished cedar stretch across the room, laden with baskets of bread, bowls of figs, and jars of golden honey. You pause, taking in the sight pomegranates piled high, their ruby skins gleaming, and platters of roasted quail dusted with spices. The air hums with quiet chatter, the clink of faience cups, and the occasional ripple of laughter. Servants move like dancers, refilling goblets with barley beer, its frothy scent mingling with the sweetness of dates. You inhale deeply, letting the aromas settle in your chest, and feel your eyelids grow heavy. You find a spot near the pharaoh's table, unnoticed, as he takes his place at the center. He's adorned now in a pleated kilt and a broad collar of turquoise and gold, his presence commanding yet calm. Beside him sit his queen and children, their linen robes shimmering in the light. A servant offers you well, not you, but the noble you're shadowing a flatbread drizzled with honey. You imagine its taste, warm and sweet, crumbling softly in your mouth. History notes that meals like this were central to Egyptian life, not just for nourishment, but for reinforcing bonds among the elite. Pharaohs used feasts to strengthen loyalty, a tradition as old as the pyramids. What do you think made these meals so special? Drop a comment, I'm curious. A musician strums a lyre in the corner, the notes floating like petals on the Nile. You notice a peculiar dish on the table, bread shaped like tiny crocodiles, their eyes made of dried currants. Here's a quirky fact. Egyptians baked bread in animal shapes for good luck, believing they carried blessings from the gods. You chuckle softly, picturing a baker molding dough into a toothy grin. The pharaoh tears into a loaf, and the court follows, the hall filling with the rustle of linen and the soft crunch of bread. Your body relaxes further, lulled by the music and the warmth of this shared moment. Let your breath deepen, matching the slow pluck of the lyre strings. The queen leans toward a child, offering a fig, and you catch her smile, gentle, timeless, like something you'd see at a family table today. The scene feels familiar, doesn't it? It's the kind of moment that connects us across centuries, a reminder of home, of togetherness. Scholars still debate whether these lavish breakfasts were daily or reserved for special occasions, but the abundance here suggests a court that celebrated life's pleasures. You glance at a servant pouring milk from a clay jug, its surface painted with reeds. The milk's creamy scent drifts over, and you feel your muscles soften, your mind drifting like a boat on the river. A breeze stirs the linen curtains, carrying the faint scent of the Nile muddy, alive, eternal. You watch a noble dip his bread into a bowl of green onion paste, a surprisingly modern touch. You smile, thinking of your own breakfast experiments, maybe not onion paste, but close enough. The hall feels like a cocoon, its sounds and smells wrapping you in calm. The pharaoh raises a cup, and the court mirrors him. Their voices a soft hum of thanks to the gods. You feel part of this ritual, safe in its rhythm. As the morning unfolds in golden splendor, let your mind float, carried by the clink of cups and the warmth of the sun. You linger in the breakfast hall, the sweetness of honey and the soft strum of the lyre still humming in your senses. The pharaoh rises, his golden collar catching the sunlight, and the court shifts. A quiet ripple of movement guiding you toward a new chamber. Your feet glide over the polished floor, the stone cool and smooth, as you follow the flow of nobles and advisors. The air grows sharper, tinged with the scent of papyrus and ink, and you feel your breath slow, settling into the steady pulse of this ancient world. The morning is unfolding, and you're drifting deeper into the pharaoh's court, where every moment feels like a brushstroke on a timeless canvas. You step into a grand room, its walls lined with shelves of rolled papyrus scrolls, their edges curling like petals. Tall columns, painted with scenes of pharaohs consulting with gods, frame a long table where the pharaoh's council gathers. The table is strewn with maps crude but detailed, etched with the Nile's winding path and the borders of distant lands. You hear the soft scratch of a reed pen, the faint rustle of linen as advisors take their seats. The pharaoh stands at the head, his expression calm but focused, a man balancing the weight of a kingdom. You find a spot near a window, the breeze carrying the scent of wet earth from the river, and let your shoulders relax, your body sinking into the rhythm of this moment. The chief vizier, a man with a shaved head and a golden ankh pendant, unrolls a scroll. His voice is low, steady, as he speaks of the Nile's coming flood, vital for Egypt's crops, its lifeblood. History records that pharaohs like Amenhotep III relied on such councils to manage the flood's timing, using astronomers to predict its arrival. A good flood meant abundance, a poor one, famine. You feel the weight of their task, yet the room is calm, each voice measured, like a melody played in unison. What do you think it was like to plan a kingdom's survival around a river's whim? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear. A scribe scribbles notes, his ink made from soot and gum, a recipe unchanged for centuries. Here's an odd tidbit: scribes sometimes added red ink for warnings, believing it carried the power of Set, the god of chaos. You smirk, imagining a scribe dramatically switching pens to jot a dire note. The vizier points to a map, tracing trade routes to Punt, a land of incense and gold. The air hums with discussion grain storage, temple repairs, a festival for Osiris. You notice a noble sipping from a clay cup, the faint scent of anise wafting over. Your eyelids grow heavy, lulled by the scratch of the pen and the murmur of voices. Let your breath deepen, matching the slow sway of the palm fronds outside. The pharaoh speaks, his voice soft but commanding, suggesting a new canal to ease the flood's flow. The advisors nod, though one hesitates, his brow furrowed. Scholars still debate whether pharaohs made decisions alone or leaned heavily on their councils. Some say men like Ramses II were master delegators. The room feels alive, not with tension, but with purpose, like a family solving a puzzle together. You glance at the window, where sunlight dances on the Nile, its surface glittering like scattered coins. The scene reminds you of stories your grandparents might have told, tales of teamwork, of building something lasting. Your body softens, sinking deeper into calm. A servant enters, balancing a tray of dates and almonds, their earthy sweetness cutting through the ink's sharp tang. You imagine popping a date in your mouth, its chewy warmth grounding you. The council continues, voices blending into a soothing hum, like waves lapping at the shore. You feel safe here, wrapped in the court's rhythm, where every word is a step toward order. The breeze stirs again, carrying the faint chirp of birds, and your mind drifts, floating on the Nile's gentle current. The pharaoh's day is in motion, and you're carried along, weightless, in this golden world. You slip away from the council chamber, the murmur of voices and the scratch of reed pens fading like a distant lullaby. The corridor you enter is bathed in golden light, its walls painted with scenes of lush fields and soaring herons. Your feet brush the cool stone floor, guiding you toward an open doorway where the air feels fresher, alive with the scent of blooming flowers and damp earth. You're stepping into the palace gardens now, a sanctuary within the heart of Thebes, and your breath slows, matching the gentle rustle of leaves. The world feels softer here, as if the gods themselves have paused to rest, and you let your shoulders loosen, sinking deeper into the warmth of this ancient morning. The gardens unfold before you, a tapestry of green and gold, where date palms sway against a sky so blue it seems painted. Lotus flowers float in shallow pools, their pink petals glowing in the sunlight, and the air hums with the buzz of bees and the chirp of sparrows. You wander down a path of packed earth, soft underfoot, passing beds of jasmine and hibiscus, their scents weaving together like a fragrant spell. A fountain burbles nearby, its water catching the light in a dance of tiny rainbows. You inhale deeply, letting the sweetness fill your lungs, and feel your eyelids grow heavy, lulled by the garden's quiet symphony. You pause by a pool, noticing a gardener kneeling to tend a patch of mandrakes, their roots prized for healing. History tells us that Egyptian gardens were more than ornamental. They supplied herbs for medicine and offerings for the gods. Pharaohs like Hatshepsut cultivated vast gardens to showcase their wealth and piety, some even importing exotic trees from Punt. You wonder, what was it like to walk these paths, knowing each plant was a gift to both gods and mortals? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. The gardener hums softly, his tune blending with the birdsong, and you feel a smile tug at your lips. A breeze stirs, carrying the faint scent of the Nile muddy, alive, eternal. You notice a peculiar detail, small clay figures, shaped like scarabs, tucked among the flower beds. Here's a quirky fact. Egyptians believed these charms protected gardens from pests, a kind of ancient pest control. You chuckle quietly, imagining a priest blessing a clay beetle with utmost seriousness. The thought grounds you. Connecting this world to your own, haven't we all tried odd tricks to keep our plants safe? Your body relaxes further, your muscles softening as you wander deeper into the gardens, the path curving toward a shaded grove. Under a canopy of sycamore trees, you find a stone bench, its surface warm from the sun. You sit, though no one sees you, and let your hands rest in your lap, feeling the air's gentle caress. Scholars still debate whether these gardens were purely for the elite, or if priests and workers also enjoyed them. Some say they were sacred spaces, others, a royal luxury. Either way, the grove feels like a hug from history, wrapping you in its calm. You notice a butterfly, its wings a flicker of blue, landing on a lotus. The sight reminds you of childhood summers, chasing butterflies in your backyard, and your heart warms, tying you to this ancient place. A servant passes, carrying a basket of pomegranates, their ruby skins peeking through the woven reeds. The faint sweetness drifts over, and you imagine their juicy burst on your tongue. The gardens hum with life, yet there's no rush, no urgency, just the slow pulse of growth and beauty. You lean back, the bench's warmth seeping into your back, and let your breath deepen, matching the ripple of the fountain. You're safe here, cradled by the earth and sky, drifting through a world where time feels endless. The Pharaoh's court awaits, but for now, you rest, carried by the garden's gentle song. You rise from the stone bench, the warmth of the gardens lingering on your skin like a soft embrace. The scent of lotus and jasmine fades as you follow a sun-dappled path back toward the palace, your feet brushing the packed earth. The air shifts, now carrying the faint tang of molten metal and polished stone, pulling you toward a courtyard buzzing with quiet industry. You're entering the domain of the palace artisans, where skilled hands shape beauty for the Pharaoh's court. Your breath slows, matching the rhythmic tap of chisels, and you feel your body relax, sinking into the steady pulse of this ancient craft. The morning is alive, and you're here, weightless, in a world where every creation is a hymn to eternity. The courtyard is open to the sky, its edges lined with low workshops, shaded by reed awnings. Artisans hunch over tables, their fingers deft and sure, surrounded by tools, bronze chisels, wooden mallets, and bowls of colorful pigments. You pause by a woman shaping a necklace, her hands threading tiny faience beads, each of vivid turquoise, like fragments of the Nile, nearby. A man polishes an alabaster vase, its surface smooth as moonlight. The air hums with soft voices, the clink of stone, and the occasional laugh, warm and unhurried. You inhale deeply, catching the earthy scent of wet clay and the sharp bite of crushed lapis, and feel your shoulders loosen, lulled by the courtyard's gentle rhythm. You step closer, watching the bead maker string her creation, her fingers moving like a dancer's. History records that artisans like her were vital to Egypt's glory, crafting treasures for pharaohs like Tutankhamun, whose tomb revealed jewelry unmatched in splendor. These workers, often trained from childhood, blended art and magic, believing their creations carried divine power. You wonder, what was it like to pour your soul into a single bead, knowing it might adorn a god-king? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. The woman hums softly, her tune blending with the tap of a nearby hammer, and you feel a smile tug at your lips. A breeze stirs, carrying the faint scent of sawdust from a carpenter shaping a cedar chair. You notice an odd detail, a young apprentice painting a wooden cat statue, its eyes made of glittering quartz. Here's a quirky fact. Egyptians crafted such figures as offerings, believing cats guarded against evil spirits. You chuckle quietly, picturing a priest solemnly presenting a wooden feline to a temple. It's a reminder of how faith shaped even the smallest tasks. Tying this world to your own, haven't we all clung to lucky charms? Your eyelids grow heavy, your body softening as you wander past a table strewn with gold leaf, its shimmer catching the sun like a captured star. An artisan lifts a finished amulet, shaped like the Eye of Horus, and holds it to the light. Scholars still debate whether these objects were purely decorative or imbued with protective spells. Some say they were both, blurring the line between art and magic. The amulet gleams, and you feel a warmth in your chest, as if its power reaches across centuries. The scene feels familiar, like stories of craftsmen your grandparents might have shared, tales of hands shaping beauty from raw earth. You glance at a potter spinning a clay vessel, its wet surface glistening. The scent of clay fills the air, grounding you, and your muscles relax, sinking deeper into calm. A servant passes, carrying a tray of water jars for the workers, their clay surfaces beaded with condensation. You imagine the cool sip, soothing in the morning heat. The courtyard hums with purpose, yet there's no rush, just the steady beat of creation. You lean against a pillar, its surface warm from the sun, and let your breath deepen, matching the slow spin of the potter's wheel. You're safe here, wrapped in the artisan's quiet devotion, drifting through a world where every bead, every vase, is a piece of forever. The Pharaoh's court hums beyond, but for now, you rest, carried by the courtyard's gentle song. You drift from the artisan's courtyard, the tap of chisels and the scent of clay fading like a soft dream. Your feet guide you through a sunlit corridor, its walls glowing with paintings of pharaohs triumphant, their arms raised to the gods. The air grows warmer, charged with the murmur of voices and the faint clink of jewelry, pulling you toward a vast hall where the pharaoh holds court. You're stepping into the heart of his power now, where nobles and petitioners gather to seek his favor. Your breath slows, matching the steady rhythm of this place, and you feel your body relax, sinking into the golden warmth of this ancient day. The world is calm, and you're here, weightless, in a moment woven from splendor and tradition. The hall is a marvel, its ceiling supported by columns painted like papyrus stalks, their green and gold hues catching the light. At the far end, on a raised dais, sits the pharaoh, his throne inlaid with ebony and turquoise, a fan of ostrich feathers swaying behind him. His kilt shimmers with pleated linen, and a golden uraeus, a rearing cobra, gleams at his brow, symbol of his divine authority. You find a spot among the crowd, unnoticed, as nobles in fine robes and veiled women whisper, their eyes fixed on the throne. The air carries the scent of myrrh from burning braziers, curling like a lullaby, and you inhale deeply, letting your shoulders loosen. A petitioner steps forward, a merchant with a braided beard, clutching a scroll. He bows low, his voice steady as he requests a trade permit for Nubian gold. History tells us that pharaohs like Seti and used these audiences to reinforce their role as mediators between gods and men, dispensing justice and favor to maintain Mayat Egypt's sacred balance. The pharaoh listens, his expression unreadable, then nods, granting the permit with a wave. The crowd murmurs approval, and you feel the room's energy shift, like a river finding its course. What do you think it was like to stand before a living God, your fate in his hands? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I'd love to hear. A noble woman approaches next, her linen gown trailing like water, her arms heavy with bangles. She offers a gift, a tiny alabaster falcon, its eyes of polished obsidian. Here's an odd tidbit: such tokens were sometimes hollow, filled with secret messages written on papyrus scraps. You smirk, imagining her slipping a note about court gossip inside. The pharaoh accepts it with a faint smile, and you notice the fan-bearer behind him, a boy no older than 12, his arms trembling under the weight of the feathers. Your eyelids grow heavy, lulled by the soft clink of bangles and the rhythmic sway of the fan. Let your breath deepen, matching the gentle flicker of the brazier's flames. The crowd parts for a priest, his leopard skin robe brushing the floor. He speaks of a new temple for Hathor, goddess of love, and requests the pharaoh's blessing. Scholars still debate whether these audiences were scripted displays of power or genuine exchanges. Some say pharaohs staged them to awe their subjects, others that they truly listened. Either way, the hall feels alive, not with tension, but with connection, like a family sharing stories by a fire. You glance at a noble sipping from a faience cup, the scent of spiced wine drifting over. The scene reminds you of community gatherings from your own life, maybe a town hall or a family reunion, and your heart warms, tying you to this ancient court. A breeze stirs the linen curtains, carrying the faint hum of the Nile and the scent of wet reeds. You watch another petitioner, a farmer, plead for aid after a poor harvest. The pharaoh's voice is soft but firm, promising grain from the royal stores. The crowd nods, and you feel safe here, wrapped in the hall's steady pulse, where every word weaves order from chaos. Your body sinks deeper into calm, carried by the murmur of voices and the glow of torchlight. The pharaoh's day unfolds, and you're part of it, drifting through a world where time feels eternal. You slip away from the audience hall, the pharaoh's measured words and the clink of bangles fading like a soft echo. Your feet carry you through a corridor bathed in golden light, its walls painted with scenes of lotus blooms and leaping antelopes. The air grows cooler, laced with the scent of palm fronds and fresh water, pulling you toward a shaded courtyard where the court retreats for midday repose. You feel your breath slow, matching the gentle rustle of leaves, and your body relaxes, sinking into the tranquil pulse of this ancient afternoon. The world is hushed, and you're here, weightless, in a moment of pure calm, as the pharaoh's palace breathes with you. The courtyard is an oasis, its center dominated by a rectangular pool where fish dart beneath lily pads, their scales catching the sunlight like scattered coins. Low stone benches, cushioned with woven mats, line the edges, shaded by sycamore trees whose branches sway in a lazy breeze. You settle onto a bench, unnoticed, as nobles recline nearby, their linen robes loose, their voices a soft murmur. A servant glides past, balancing a tray of clay cups filled with pomegranate juice, its tart sweetness drifting through the air. You inhale deeply, letting the scent ground you, and feel your eyelids grow heavy, lulled by the courtyard's serene embrace. A musician sits cross-legged by the pool, her fingers coaxing a melody from a wooden harp, the notes floating like ripples on the water. History tells us that such moments of rest were sacred in Egypt, a time to honor the body and soul after the morning's duties. Pharaohs like Akhenaten designed courtyards like this to reflect paradise, a glimpse of the afterlife's eternal fields. You wonder, what was it like to pause here, knowing your every act was watched by gods? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. The harp's melody weaves through the air, and you feel a smile tug at your lips, soft and unforced. A noblewoman fans herself with a palm leaf, its rhythmic swish blending with the hum of cicadas. Here's a quirky fact. Egyptians sometimes dyed these fans with saffron to release a sweet scent when wave talk about fancy air conditioning. You chuckle quietly, imagining a noble sneezing from too much saffron. The thought grounds you. Tying this world to your own, haven't we all fanned ourselves on a hot day? Dreaming of cool relief, your body softens, your muscles loosening as you watch a servant sprinkle water on the stone path, the droplets evaporating with a faint hiss. Let your breath deepen, matching the slow sway of the sycamore branches. A young boy, perhaps a noble's son, tosses a pebble into the pool, giggling as the fish scatter. His mother hushes him, but her eyes are warm, and you feel a pang of nostalgia, like memories of lazy afternoons with your own family. Scholars still debate whether these courtyards were exclusive to the elite, or if priests and officials shared them. Some say they were a rare egalitarian space in a rigid hierarchy. Either way, the scene feels universal, a moment of rest that transcends time. You notice a noble sipping his juice, the cup's blue glaze shimmering like the Nile. The tart scent reaches you, and your shoulders sink further. your mind drifting like a leaf on the pool's surface. A breeze stirs, carrying the faint scent of baked earth from the riverbanks. You hear a distant laugh, soft and fleeting, as two nobles share a quiet joke. The courtyard hums with life, yet there's no urgency, just the gentle rhythm of rest. You lean back, the bench's warmth seeping into your spine, and let your eyes half close, carried by the harp's notes and the water's soft lap. You're safe here, cradled by the court's tranquility, drifting through a world where time feels like a warm, endless afternoon. The Pharaoh's day continues, but for now, you rest. Wrapped in the courtyard's gentle song, you linger in the shaded courtyard, the harp's fading notes and the pool's gentle ripple still humming in your senses. The warmth of the bench fades as you rise, drawn by a faint scent of ink and papyrus, pulling you back into the palace. Your feet glide over the stone floor, cool and smooth, through a corridor where sunlight dances on walls carved with scenes of scribes at work. You're entering the scriptorium now, where the court's records are etched into eternity. Your breath slows, matching the soft scratch of reed pens, and your body relaxes, sinking into the quiet pulse of this ancient craft. The world feels steady, and you're here, weightless, in a place where words hold the power of gods. The scriptorium is a narrow room, its walls lined with shelves of rolled papyrus, their edges curling like dried leaves. Low tables are scattered with ink pots, brushes, and stacks of fresh sheets, while scribesmen with shaved heads and linen kilts hunch over their work, their faces lit by slanting beams of light. You pause by a scribe dipping his pen into black ink, his hand moving with precision to form hieroglyphs, a reed, an owl, a coiled snake. The air carries the sharp tang of soot and gum, mingled with the dusty sweetness of papyrus. You inhale deeply, letting the scent anchor you, and feel your eyelids grow heavy, lulled by the room's rhythmic calm. You watch the scribe etch a decree, perhaps a pharaoh's order for grain distribution. History tells us that scribes were the backbone of Egypt's bureaucracy, recording everything from tax lists to temple offerings. Under pharaohs like Thutmose III, their work ensured the kingdom's stability, preserving knowledge for generations. You wonder, what was it like to carry the weight of a nation's memory in every stroke? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. The scribe pauses, flexing his fingers, and you notice a faint smudge of ink on his cheek, like a painter's badge of honor. A breeze stirs through an open window, carrying the distant hum of the Nile. You glance at another scribe, this one using a red ink that stands out like blood on the papyrus. Here's a quirky fact. Red ink, made from ochre, was reserved for sacred or ominous texts, believed to channel the chaos of Set. You smirk, imagining a scribe dramatically switching to red for a temple curse. It's a reminder that even paperwork had a touch of magic here. Your body softens, your muscles loosening as you wander past a table strewn with broken pens, their tips frayed from endless writing. Let your breath deepen, matching the slow scratch of the pens. An older scribe, his eyes crinkled with age, corrects a younger one, pointing to a misdrawn symbol. Their voices are low, almost a whisper, and you feel a warmth in your chest, like watching a mentor guide a student in your own time. Scholars still debate whether scribes were revered as priests or seen as mere clerks. Some say their literacy made them near divine in a largely illiterate world. The scene feels timeless, like stories your grandparents might have told of passing down skills through generations. You notice a clay jar of water on the table, its surface beaded with condensation. The faint scent of wet clay reaches you, and your shoulders sink, your mind drifting like a reed on the river. A servant enters, placing a basket of flatbreads on a side table for the scribes. The warm, yeasty aroma cuts through the ink's sharpness, and you imagine tearing off a piece, its texture soft and grounding. The scriptorium hums with focus. Yet, there's no rush, just the steady beat of preservation. You lean against a wall, its surface cool against your back, and let your eyes half close, carried by the pen's soft scratches and the breeze's gentle sigh. You're safe here, wrapped in the scribe's quiet devotion, drifting through a world where every word is a piece of forever. The Pharaoh's court hums beyond, but for now, you rest, cradled by the scriptorium's gentle rhythm. You drift from the scriptorium, the scratch of reed pens and the scent of ink fading like a whispered secret. Your feet carry you through a corridor where sunlight spills across walls painted with gods and stars, their colors glowing as if lit from within. The air grows warmer, heavy with the scent of burning resin and fresh flowers, pulling you toward a grand doorway flanked by statues of Horus, their hawk eyes glinting. You're joining the court now, moving toward a temple to offer gifts to Amun-Ra, the sun god. Your breath slows, matching the distant chant of priests, and your body relaxes, sinking into the sacred pulse of this ancient afternoon. The world feels holy, and you're here, weightless, in a moment where heaven and earth intertwine. You step into the temple's outer courtyard, its stone floor warm underfoot, reflecting the sun's golden blaze. Towering columns, carved with lotus buds, rise toward a sky so blue it seems endless. Priests in white robes glide past, carrying baskets of bread, jars of honey, and bundles of lotus flowers, their petals soft as silk. The Pharaoh leads the procession, his golden kilt shimmering, a leopard skin cloak draped over one shoulder. You follow, unnoticed, as the crowd moves in quiet reverence, their sandals whispering against the stone. You inhale deeply, catching the smoky sweetness of frankincense, and feel your shoulders loosen, lulled by the courtyard's serene embrace. The priests arrange their offerings on a stone altar, its surface etched with hieroglyphs praising Amun-Ra. History tells us that these rituals, performed daily under pharaohs like Ramses II, were vital to Egypt's spiritual life, ensuring the sun's rise and the land's fertility. The pharaoh lifts a loaf of bread, his voice low as he chants a prayer, and the priests echo him, their voices rising like a tide. You wonder what was it like to believe your words kept the world turning. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. The chant weaves through the air, and you feel a smile tug at your lips, soft and unforced. A priest scatters petals across the altar, their fragrance mingling with the incense. Here's a quirky fact: Egyptians sometimes offered beer to the gods, believing it pleased Amun-Ra as much as honey. You chuckle quietly, picturing a priest solemnly pouring a frothy jug for a deity. It's a reminder that even the divine enjoyed a good brew. Tying this world to your own, haven't we all raised a glass in celebration? Your eyelids grow heavy, your body softening as you watch a priest light a brazier, the flames dancing like tiny suns. Let your breath deepen, matching the slow sway of the lotus offerings. The pharaoh steps forward, placing a golden amulet shaped like a scarab on the altar. Scholars still debate whether these offerings were purely symbolic or believed to reach the gods in a literal sense. Some say they were both, a bridge between mortal and divine. The scene feels timeless, like stories your grandparents might have shared of leaving gifts at a shrine, seeking blessings for the future. You notice a young priestess, her linen robe adorned with a single blue bead, her eyes fixed on the altar. The scent of honey drifts over, sweet and grounding, and your muscles relax, your mind drifting like a petal on the Nile. A breeze stirs, carrying the faint hum of the river and the scent of warm stone. You hear a soft clink as a priest adjusts a bronze censer, its smoke curling toward the sky. The temple hums with reverence. Yet there's no rush, just the gentle rhythm of devotion. You lean against a column, its surface warm against your back, and let your eyes half close, carried by the priest's chants and the flicker of flames. You're safe here, cradled by the temple's sanctity, drifting through a world where every offering is a prayer for eternity. The Pharaoh's court awaits, but for now, you rest, wrapped in the temple's gentle glow. You glide from the temple's sacred glow, the chant of priests and the scent of frankincense lingering like a warm memory. Your feet carry you back through the palace, down a corridor where sunlight spills across walls painted with charging chariots and victorious pharaohs. The air grows lively, buzzing with the clatter of hooves and the shout of commands, pulling you toward an open courtyard where the court prepares for a grand chariot procession through Thebes. Your breath slows, matching the rhythmic creak of wheels, and your body relaxes, sinking into the vibrant pulse of this ancient afternoon. The world feels alive, and you're here, weightless, in a moment of splendor and motion. The courtyard is a whirlwind of activity, yet it hums with order. Polished chariots, their wood inlaid with gold and ivory, stand ready, their horses snorting softly, their manes braided with blue beads. You pause by a chariot, its leather reins soft under your imaginary touch, and catch the scent of polished cedar and warm horsehide. The Pharaoh, now in a kilt of pleated linen and a broad collar of lapis, mounts his chariot, his movements graceful, commanding. Nobles and guards, their bronze armor glinting, form ranks behind him, while servants adjust harnesses, their hands quick but steady. You inhale deeply, letting the earthy scents ground you, and feel your eyelids grow heavy, lulled by the courtyard's steady rhythm. You slip into the procession, unnoticed, as it rolls toward the city gates. History tells us that chariot processions, like those under Akhenaten, were displays of power, uniting the people in awe of their divine ruler. The Pharaoh's chariot, drawn by two sleek horses, leads the way, its wheels kicking up faint clouds of dust. You hear the crowd beyond the gates cheers, laughter, the clap of hands as Thebes gathers to witness their king. You wonder what was it like to ride as a god among mortals. Your every move a symbol. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. The horse's hooves thud softly, and you feel a smile tug at your lips. The gates open, and you move with the procession into Thebes's bustling streets, lined with whitewashed houses and swaying palms. A peculiar sight catches your eye. Children tossing lotus petals at the chariots, their tiny hands clutching flowers plucked from the Nile. Here's a quirky fact. Egyptians believed lotus petals brought luck, and during processions, they'd shower them like confetti. You chuckle quietly, imagining a kid aiming a petal at the pharaoh's head. It's a reminder of joy in this world. Tying it to your own, haven't we all cheered at a parade? Your body softens, your muscles loosening as you watch the petals flutter, carried by a breeze scented with baked earth and river water. The pharaoh raises a hand, and the crowd roars, their voices a warm wave. Scholars still debate whether these processions were purely ceremonial or strategic moves to reinforce loyalty. Some say pharaohs used them to distract from economic woes. Either way, the street feels like a festival, alive with connection, like a community gathering in your own time. You notice a woman in the crowd, her linen dress adorned with a single amethyst bead, waving a palm frond. The scent of fresh bread drifts from a nearby stall, and your shoulders sink, your mind drifting like a pedal on the Nile's current. Let your breath deepen, matching the slow roll of the chariot wheels. You keep pace, the city unfolding around you, mud brick homes, market stalls piled with figs, and temples glowing in the afternoon sun. A musician plays a reed flute, its notes weaving through the cheers, and you feel safe here, wrapped in the procession's energy, where every step is a celebration. The horses snort, their breath warm, and you lean into the moment, carried by the clatter of hooves and the crowd's joyful hum. You're part of this world, drifting through a day where time feels like a golden thread, tying past to present. The Pharaoh's court moves forward, but for now, you ride, cradled by Thebes' vibrant heart. You drift back from the vibrant streets of Thebes, the cheers of the crowd and the clatter of chariot wheels fading like a warm breeze. Your feet guide you through the palace gates, the air growing richer with the scent of roasting meat and baking bread, pulling you toward the royal kitchens where preparations for a grand evening feast are underway. The afternoon sun bathes the corridors in golden light, and your breath slows, matching the rhythmic chop of knives and the soft hum of voices. Your body relaxes, sinking into the comforting pulse of this ancient world, where every dish is a celebration of life. You're here, weightless, in a moment that feels like home, wrapped in the warmth of a bustling kitchen. The kitchens are a sprawling maze of open hearths and clay ovens, their fires casting a flickering glow on mud brick walls. Cooks move with practiced ease, stirring pots of lentil stew, kneading dough, and threading skewers with chunks of spiced beef. You pause by a woman shaping loaves, her hands dusted with flour, her face lit with focus. Baskets overflow with onions, garlic, and leeks, their earthy scents mingling with the sweetness of honey and the tang of fermented fish sauce. You inhale deeply, letting the aromas wrap around you like a hug, and feel your eyelids grow heavy, lulled by the kitchen's lively yet soothing rhythm. A young cook tosses cumin seeds into a sizzling pan, the spice blooming in a fragrant cloud. History tells us that feasts like this, common under pharaohs like Amenhotep III, were not just meals but displays of wealth, uniting the court in shared abundance. The pharaoh's table would groan with dishes, from roasted geese to honeyed cakes, each a testament to Egypt's fertile lands. You wonder, what was it like to prepare a meal for a god king, knowing every bite carried his approval? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. The woman shaping loaves hums softly, her tune blending with the crackle of the fires, and you feel a smile tug at your lips. You notice a peculiar sight, a cook painting dough with egg wash, shaping it into tiny birds for the feast. Here's a quirky fact. Egyptians crafted such breads as offerings, believing their shapes pleased the gods and guests alike. You chuckle quietly, picturing a noble popping a dough sparrow into their mouth. It's a reminder of the joy woven into this world. Tying it to your own, haven't we all delighted in a whimsically shaped pastry? Your body softens, your muscles loosening as you wander past a table laden with clay jars of beer, their surfaces beaded with condensation. Let your breath deepen, matching the slow bubble of a simmering stew. A servant hurries past, balancing a tray of pomegranates, their ruby skins gleaming like jewels. The scent of their tart sweetness reaches you, and you feel a warmth in your chest, like memories of family dinners where laughter filled the air. Scholars still debate whether these feasts were daily or reserved for festivals. Some say the court dined lavishly to honor the gods, others that it was a show of power. Either way, the kitchen feels like the heart of the palace, pulsing with life and care. You glance at a cook fanning a fire, the smoke curling upward, and your shoulders sink, your mind drifting like a leaf on the Nile's current. A breeze stirs through an open window, carrying the faint scent of the river and the distant chirp of birds. You hear a cook call to another, their voices warm with camaraderie, and the scene feels timeless, like stories your grandparents might have shared of bustling kitchens and shared meals. The fires crackle, the dough rises, and you lean against a warm wall, its surface soothing against your back. You're safe here, cradled by the kitchen's energy, drifting through a world where every dish is a gift. the Pharaoh's feast awaits. But for now, you rest, wrapped in the kitchen's comforting glow. You drift from the bustling kitchens, the scent of spiced beef and warm bread lingering like a cozy memory. Your feet glide through a corridor where torchlight flickers on walls painted with scenes of feasting gods, their tables laden with offerings. The air grows richer, alive with the clink of goblets and the soft strum of music, pulling you toward a grand banquet hall where the Pharaoh's evening feast unfolds. Your breath slows, matching the gentle lilt of a lyre, and your body relaxes, sinking into the warm pulse of this ancient night. The world feels festive yet serene, and you're here, weightless, in a moment that wraps you in the glow of shared joy. The hall is a vision of splendor, its ceiling painted with stars that seem to twinkle in the torchlight. Long tables, draped in white linen, groan under platters of roasted goose, honeyed cakes, and bowls of figs glistening like dark jewels. You slip into the crowd, unnoticed, as nobles in pleated robes and jeweled collars laugh and converse, their voices a soft hum. The Pharaoh sits at the head, his golden kilt shimmering, his queen beside him, her smile radiant as she lifts a faience cup. You inhale deeply, catching the sweet tang of barley beer and the floral hint of lotus, and feel your eyelids grow heavy, lulled by the hall's vibrant calm. A servant offers you well, the noble you're shadowing a plate of spiced lentils, their earthy warmth mingling with a drizzle of sesame oil. You imagine the taste, rich and grounding, like a dish from a family gathering. History tells us that banquets, like those under Hatshepsut, were social glue, strengthening ties among Egypt's elite while honoring the gods. These feasts could last hours, with music and stories flowing as freely as the beer. You wonder, what was it like to dine as if the gods were watching? Every bite a prayer. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. The lyre's notes float over, and you smile softly. A musician switches to a flute, its melody weaving through the laughter. You notice a peculiar detail, a noblewoman wearing a cone of scented wax on her head, melting slowly to release a jasmine fragrance. Here's a quirky fact. Egyptians used these cones at feasts, believing the scent pleased both guests and deities. You chuckle quietly, imagining the sticky cleanup later. It's a reminder of the whimsy in this world. Tying it to your own, haven't we all worn something silly for a party? Your body softens, your muscles loosening as you watch servants refill cups, the beer's frothy scent cutting through the jasmine. Let your breath deepen, matching the slow pulse of the music. The Pharaoh raises his cup, and the hall quiets, all eyes on him. He speaks of the Nile's bounty, his voice warm, and the nobles cheer, their goblets glinting. Scholars still debate whether these feasts were purely celebratory or strategic displays to quell unrest. Some say pharaohs used them to showcase stability. Either way, the hall feels like a family reunion, alive with connection, like gatherings from your own life. You glance at a child sneaking a cake, his grin mischievous, and your heart warms, tying you to this ancient joy. The scent of honey drifts over, and your shoulders sink, your mind drifting like a star in the painted sky. A breeze stirs the linen curtains, carrying the faint hum of the Nile and the scent of warm stone. You hear a noble laugh, his voice bright as he shares a story, and the scene feels timeless, like tales your grandparents might have told of lively dinners under the stars. The torches flicker, casting lacy shadows, and you lean into the moment, carried by the music and the clink of cups. You're safe here, cradled by the banquet's warmth, drifting through a world where every toast is a thread in eternity's tapestry. The Pharaoh's night continues, but for now, you rest, wrapped in the hall's golden glow. You linger in the banquet hall, the clink of goblets and the flute's soft melody fading like a warm dream. Your feet carry you from the lively feast, up a wide staircase where torchlight dances on walls painted with constellations, their stars seeming to pulse in the flickering glow. The air grows cooler, scented with night-blooming jasmine and the faint musk of the desert, pulling you toward the palace roof where the court gathers to reflect under the stars. Your breath slows, matching the gentle rustle of linen curtains, and your body relaxes, sinking into the tranquil pulse of this ancient night. The world feels vast, and you're here, weightless, in a moment that feels like a whisper from the gods. The rooftop is open to the sky, its edges lined with low stone benches cushioned with woven mats. Above, the heavens stretch endless, a tapestry of stars so bright they seem within reach. You settle onto a bench, unnoticed, as nobles and priests murmur softly, their eyes fixed on the glittering expanse. The Pharaoh stands near a brazier, its flames casting a golden glow on his linen robe, his face serene as he gazes upward. You inhale deeply, catching the smoky warmth of the fire and the floral sweetness of jasmine, and feel your eyelids grow heavy, lulled by the night's serene embrace. A priest points to a constellation, tracing the shape of Osiris, god of the afterlife. History tells us that Egyptians studied the stars with precision, using them to mark time and guide rituals, as under pharaohs like Thutmose I. The night sky was their calendar, their map to the divine, believed to hold the souls of the departed. You wonder, what was it like to look at the stars and see your god staring back? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. The priest's voice is a soft hum, blending with the crackle of the brazier, and you feel a smile tug at your lips, soft and unforced. You notice a peculiar detail, a noble holding a small bronze disc, etched with star patterns, used to track the night's hours. Here's a quirky fact Egyptians called these star clocks, believing they align their lives with cosmic order. You chuckle quietly, imagining a noble squinting at the sky, double-checking his bedtime. It's a reminder of the human side of this world. Tying it to your own, haven't we all glanced at a clock to anchor our day? Your body softens, your muscles loosening as you watch the brazier's flames dance, casting shadows that sway like reeds. Let your breath deepen, matching the slow twinkle of the stars. The Pharaoh speaks, his voice low, musing on the eternal cycle of Ra's journey through the underworld. The nobles nod, their faces lit with reverence, and you feel a warmth in your chest, like stories your grandparents might have shared of gazing at the sky, dreaming of what lies beyond. Scholars still debate whether these rooftop gatherings were spiritual or political. Some say pharaohs used them to unify the court under a shared cosmos. Either way, the scene feels timeless, a moment of wonder that transcends centuries. You glance at a priestess, her linen veil adorned with a single silver bead, her eyes reflecting the stars. The scent of jasmine drifts over, and your shoulders sink, your mind drifting like a cloud across the night sky. A breeze stirs, carrying the faint hum of the Nile and the scent of cooled stone. You hear a noble whisper, a prayer, his voice barely audible, and the rooftop feels like a sanctuary, alive with quiet awe. The stars shine brighter, and you lean back, the bench's warmth seeping into your spine. You're safe here, cradled by the night's vastness, drifting through a world where every star is a story, every gaze a prayer. The Pharaoh's court hums below. But for now, you rest, wrapped in the sky's gentle glow. You drift down from the starlit rooftop, the Pharaoh's quiet musings and the glow of the brazier fading like a gentle sigh. Your feet guide you through a shadowed corridor, its walls painted with scenes of family feasts, their colors softened by torchlight. The air grows warmer, scented with myrrh and the faint sweetness of milk, pulling you toward a private chamber where the Pharaoh shares a rare moment with his family. Your breath slows, matching the soft murmur of voices, and your body relaxes, sinking into the tender pulse of this ancient night. The world feels intimate, and you're here, weightless, in a moment that wraps you in the warmth of home. The chamber is cozy, its walls draped with linen curtains that sway in the evening breeze. A low table holds a clay jug of milk, a basket of dates, and a few honeyed cakes, their golden crumbs scattered like tiny stars. The Pharaoh sits on a cushioned stool, his golden kilt replaced by a simple linen robe, his face softened by a smile. His queen lounges nearby, her hair loose, while two children, a boy and a girl, sprawl on a woven mat, giggling as they play with wooden animal figures. You slip into a corner, unnoticed, and inhale deeply, catching the comforting scents of milk and myrrh, your eyelids growing heavy, lulled by the chamber's gentle calm. The boy holds up a carved hippopotamus, its mouth comically wide, and the Pharaoh laughs, ruffling his hair. History tells us that family moments like these were cherished, even by god-kings like Ramses II, who fathered over 100 children and often depicted them in art to show his human side. These quiet evenings grounded the royal family, tying them to the same joys as their subjects. You wonder what was it like to be a pharaoh, yet find peace in a child's laughter. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. The girl claps her hands, and you feel a smile tug at your lips, soft and unforced. You notice a peculiar detail, a small clay lamp shaped like a lotus, its wick flickering with a warm glow. Here's a quirky fact. Egyptians believed lotus-shaped lamps brought dreams of renewal, as the flower closed at night and bloomed at dawn. You chuckle quietly, imagining the queen choosing it for sweet dreams. It's a reminder of the tenderness in this world. Tying it to your own, haven't we all lit a lamp to chase away the dark? Your body softens, your muscles loosening as you watch the queen offer a date to the girl, her fingers sticky with honey. Let your breath deepen, matching the slow flicker of the lamp's flame. The Pharaoh tells a story, his voice low, about a clever ibis who tricked a crocodile. The children lean in, eyes wide, and you feel a warmth in your chest, like memories of bedtime tales from your own childhood. Scholars still debate whether pharaohs spent much time with their families, or if these moments were staged for loyalty. Some say they were genuine, others a royal performance. Either way, the chamber feels like a haven, alive with love, like family nights in your own life. You glance at the boy, now yawning, his hippo forgotten, and your shoulders sink, your mind drifting like a leaf on the Nile's current. A breeze stirs the curtains, carrying the faint hum of the river and the scent of cooled stone. You hear the queen hum softly, her tune blending with the children's giggles, and the scene feels timeless, like stories your grandparents might have shared of quiet evenings by a hearth. The lamp's glow dances, casting lacy shadows, and you lean into the moment, carried by the warmth of laughter and the scent of myrrh. You're safe here, cradled by the family's tenderness, drifting through a world where every smile is a treasure. The Pharaoh's night continues, but for now, you rest, wrapped in the chamber's gentle glow. You glide from the warm family chamber, the children's giggles and the scent of myrrh fading like a tender lullaby. Your feet carry you through a dimly lit corridor, its walls adorned with paintings of moonlit rituals, their colors softened by the flicker of oil lamps. The air grows heavier, laced with the smoky tang of resin and the faint rustle of sacred chants, pulling you toward a secluded temple wing where priests perform night rituals to guard the pharaoh's dreams. Your breath slows, matching the low hum of voices, and your body relaxes, sinking into the mystic pulse of this ancient night. The world feels hushed, and you're here, weightless, in a moment that feels like a bridge to the divine. The temple wing is a shadowed sanctuary, its stone floor cool underfoot, reflecting the glow of bronze censers that line the walls. Priests in leopard skin robes move with silent grace, their shaved heads gleaming as they arrange offerings on a low altar bread, lotus flowers, and a small jar of shimmering oil. You pause by a pillar carved with the eye of Horus, its gaze seeming to follow you, and catch the scent of burning myrrh, curling upward like a prayer. The pharaoh is absent, but his presence lingers, his dreams the focus of this sacred work. You inhale deeply, letting the smoky warmth fill your lungs, and feel your eyelids grow heavy, lulled by the temple's serene rhythm. A priest lights a censer, the flames casting dancing shadows on a wall painted with stars. History tells us that night rituals, like those under Seti swore, were believed to protect the pharaoh from spiritual harm, ensuring his divine connection to Ra even in sleep. These ceremonies wove the mortal and divine, guarding Egypt's balance through the night. You wonder, what was it like to believe your dreams held the fate of a kingdom? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. The priest's chant rises, a soft drone, and you feel a smile tug at your lips, gentle and unforced. You notice a peculiar detail, a small clay figure of Bes, the dwarf-like god of protection, placed near the altar, its tongue sticking out in a comical grimace. Here's a quirky fact. Egyptians kept Bes statues in bedrooms, believing his goofy face scared off nightmares. You chuckle quietly, picturing a priest tucking one under the pharaoh's pillow. It's a reminder of the humanity in this world. Tying it to your own, haven't we all clung to a charm for comfort? Your body softens, your muscles loosening as you watch a priest drizzle oil on the altar, its sheen catching the firelight. Let your breath deepen, matching the slow sway of the censer's smoke. The priests move in unison, their robes brushing the floor, as one sprinkles water from a silver bowl, its droplets sparkling like stars. Scholars still debate whether these rituals were purely spiritual or a way to reinforce the pharaoh's divine image. Some say they were both, blending faith and politics. The scene feels timeless, like stories your grandparents might have shared of quiet prayers under a moonlit sky. You glance at a priestess, her linen veil adorned with a single lapis bead, her hands steady as she arranges lotus petals. The scent of myrrh drifts over, and your shoulders sink, your mind drifting like a cloud across the night sky. A breeze stirs through an open window, carrying the faint hum of the Nile and the scent of cooled stone. You hear a priest whisper a final prayer, his voice barely audible, and the temple feels like a cocoon, alive with quiet reverence. You lean against the pillar, its surface cool against your back, and let your eyes half close, carried by the chants and the flicker of flames. You're safe here, cradled by the priest's devotion, drifting through a world where every ritual is a shield against the dark. The pharaoh's court slumbers, but for now, you rest, wrapped in the temple's gentle glow. You drift from the temple's shadowed sanctity, the priest's chants and the scent of myrrh fading like a whispered prayer. Your feet guide you through a torch-lit corridor, its walls painted with scenes of dancers and musicians, their forms frozen in joyful motion. The air grows lighter, alive with the trill of laughter and the rhythmic clap of hands, pulling you toward a spacious hall where court entertainers perform for the pharaoh's delight. Your breath slows, matching the soft beat of a drum, and your body relaxes, sinking into the vibrant pulse of this ancient night. The world feels festive, and you're here, weightless, in a moment that sparkles with the joy of creation. The hall is aglow with oil lamps, their flames casting a warm sheen on polished stone floors. Low cushions, woven with bright reeds, are scattered for nobles to recline, their linen robes shimmering as they watch the performers. At the center, acrobats tumble and twist, their bodies lithe, while a storyteller in a feathered cloak weaves a tale of gods and heroes. You slip into a corner, unnoticed, and catch the scent of spiced wine from a nearby goblet. its warm aroma mingling with the faint musk of sandalwood. You inhale deeply, letting the scents ground you, and feel your eyelids grow heavy, lulled by the hall's lively yet soothing rhythm. A dancer spins, her skirt flaring like a lotus in bloom, her ankles adorned with silver bells that jingle with each step. History tells us that entertainers, like those under Amenhotep III, were revered in Egypt, their performances blending art and ritual to honor the gods in court. These nights of music and stories strengthen the court spirit, a celebration of life's beauty. You wonder what was it like to perform for a pharaoh, knowing your art could lift a god-king's heart. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. The drum's beat pulses, and you feel a smile tug at your lips, soft and unforced. You notice a peculiar detail, a juggler tossing small clay balls painted with stars, catching them with impossible ease. Here's a quirky fact. Egyptians sometimes filled these balls with seeds, believing their rattle pleased the goddess Hathor, patron of joy. You chuckle quietly, imagining a juggler accidentally scattering seeds mid-act. It's a reminder of the whimsy in this world, tying it to your own. Haven't we all clapped for a street performer's flair? Your body softens, your muscles loosening as you watch the storyteller gesture wildly, his cloak fluttering like wings. Let your breath deepen, matching the slow sway of the dancer's bells. The storyteller's voice rises, spinning a tale of Anubis guiding a lost soul, and the nobles lean in, their faces lit with wonder. Scholars still debate whether these performances were purely for entertainment or carry deeper spiritual meaning. Some say they were both, weaving mortal joy with divine praise. The scene feels timeless, like stories your grandparents might have shared of lively gatherings under lantern light. You glance at a noblewoman, her gold earrings glinting as she claps, her laughter warm. The scent of sandalwood drifts over, and your shoulders sink, your mind drifting like a note on the wind. A breeze stirs through an open window, carrying the faint hum of the Nile and the scent of cooled stone. You hear an acrobat laugh as he lands a flip. The crowd's applause a soft wave, and the hall feels like a hearth, alive with shared delight. You lean against a pillar, its surface warm against your back, and let your eyes half close, carried by the drum's beat and the storyteller's voice. You're safe here, cradled by the entertainer's energy, drifting through a world where every spin, every tale is a gift of joy. The Pharaoh's night hums on, but for now, you rest, wrapped in the hall's golden glow. You drift from the lively hall, the jingle of bells and the storyteller's voice fading like a joyful echo. Your feet glide through a shadowed corridor, its walls painted with scenes of merchants and far-off lands, their colors softened by the flicker of oil lamps. The air grows quieter, scented with papyrus and the faint warmth of wax, pulling you toward a smaller chamber where nobles gather for late-night discussions under the glow of flickering light. Your breath slows, matching the low murmur of voices, and your body relaxes, sinking into the intimate pulse of this ancient night. The world feels contemplative, and you're here, weightless, in a moment that hums with the weight of ideas. The chamber is cozy, its stone walls draped with linen hangings that sway gently in the night breeze. A low table, strewn with rolled papyrus maps and clay cups, stands at the center, surrounded by nobles reclining on cushioned stools. Oil lamps cast a golden glow, their wicks sputtering softly, and you slip into a corner, unnoticed, catching the scent of spiced wine and the dusty tang of old scrolls. The nobles, their robes loose after the feast, speak in hushed tones, their faces lit with focus as they debate trade routes to distant lands. You inhale deeply, letting the scents ground you, and feel your eyelids grow heavy, lulled by the chamber's serene rhythm. A noble unrolls a map, tracing a path to Punt, a land of incense and gold. His voice is steady, weighing the risks of desert travel against the promise of wealth. History tells us that trade expeditions, like those under Hatshepsut, were vital to Egypt's prosperity, bringing myrrh and ebony to the pharaoh's court. These late-night talks shaped the kingdom's future, balancing ambition with caution. You wonder what was it like to plan a journey that could make or break a dynasty. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. The map rustles softly, and you feel a smile tug at your lips, gentle and unforced. You notice a peculiar detail, a noble rolling a small clay seal between his fingers, its surface etched with a scarab. Here's a quirky fact. Egyptians used these seals to stamp trade agreements, believing the scarab's image ensured honesty. You chuckle quietly, imagining a noble nervously fidgeting with it during a tough deal. It's a reminder of the human stakes in this world, tying it to your own. Haven't we all toyed with a pen during a big decision? Your body softens, your muscles loosening as you watch a servant refill a lamp, the oil's faint sheen catching the light. Let your breath deepen, matching the slow flicker of the flames. Another noble, her hair adorned with a single lotus pin, argues for a new route through the Red Sea, her voice calm but firm. Scholars still debate whether these discussions were collaborative or dominated by the pharaoh's will. Some say nobles had real influence, others that they merely echoed the king. The scene feels timeless, like stories your grandparents might have shared of late-night talks around a kitchen table, planning for tomorrow. You glance at a cup of wine, its surface rippling in the lamplight, and the scent of cloves drifts over, warming your chest. Your shoulders sink, your mind drifting like a boat on the Nile's current. A breeze stirs through an open window, carrying the faint hum of the river and the scent of cooled stone. You hear a noble laugh softly, easing the tension, and the chamber feels like a haven, alive with quiet purpose. You lean against a wall, its surface cool against your back, and let your eyes half close, carried by the murmur of voices and the lamp's gentle glow. You're safe here, cradled by the noble's shared vision, drifting through a world where every word shapes the future. The pharaoh's night winds down, but for now, you rest, wrapped in the chamber's tranquil light. You drift from the noble's chamber, the murmur of trade routes and the scent of spiced wine fading like a quiet thought. Your feet glide through a corridor where torchlight flickers on walls painted with scenes of resting gods, their serene faces glowing in the soft light. The air grows gentler, scented with myrrh and the faint crispness of fresh linen, pulling you toward the pharaoh's private quarters where he prepares for rest. Your breath slows, matching the distant lap of the Nile, and your body relaxes, sinking into the tranquil pulse of this ancient night. The world feels like a lullaby, and you're here, weightless, in a moment that cradles you in peace. The pharaoh's chamber is a haven of calm, its walls draped with sheer linen curtains that sway in the evening breeze. A low bed, draped in white linen and piled with cushions, stands against one wall, its cedar frame polished to a warm glow. You pause by a bronze brazier, its embers casting a soft light, and catch the scent of myrrh burning slowly, curling upward like a whispered prayer. The pharaoh, now in a simple linen robe, moves with unhurried grace, his golden collar set aside. You slip into a corner, unnoticed, and inhale deeply, letting the smoky sweetness ground you, your eyelids growing heavy, lulled by the chamber's serene rhythm. A servant unfolds a linen sheet, its fabric so fine it seems to float. History tells us that pharaohs like Tutankhamun prized such linens, woven from flax grown along the Nile, for their softness and purity. These bedtime rituals were sacred, preparing the body and soul for dreams that might carry divine messages. You wonder what was it like to sleep as a god king, believing your dreams could shape the world. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. The servant smooths the sheet, her hands steady, and you feel a smile tug at your lips, soft and unforced. You notice a peculiar detail, a small alabaster jar on a table, filled with a paste that smells faintly of lavender. Here's a quirky fact. Egyptians used lavender-scented oils to massage their feet before bed, believing it eased them into restful sleep. You chuckle quietly, imagining the pharaoh wiggling his toes during a royal foot rub. It's a reminder of the human side of this world, tying it to your own. Haven't we all craved a moment of comfort before sleep? Your body softens, your muscles loosening as you watch the servant light a lotus-shaped lamp, its wick flickering like a tiny star. Let your breath deepen, matching the slow sway of the curtains. The pharaoh reclines on the bed, a priestess entering to offer a final blessing, her voice a soft chant invoking Horus's protection. Scholars still debate whether these bedtime rituals were purely spiritual or a way to ease the pharaoh's mortal anxieties. Some say they were both, blending faith with comfort. The scene feels timeless, like stories your grandparents might have shared of nighttime prayers whispered in the dark. You glance at the priestess, her linen veil adorned with a single turquoise bead, her hands steady as she sprinkles water from a silver bowl. The scent of myrrh drifts over, and your shoulders sink, your mind drifting like a reed on the river's current. A breeze stirs through an open window, carrying the faint hum of the Nile and the scent of cooled stone. You hear the distant croak of a frog, a soft reminder of the world beyond, and the chamber feels like a cocoon, alive with quiet reverence. You lean against a wall, its surface warm against your back, and let your eyes half close, carried by the priestess's chant and the lamp's gentle glow. You're safe here, cradled by the ritual's tenderness, drifting through a world where every moment prepares for rest. The pharaoh's day ends, but for now, you linger, wrapped in the chamber's tranquil light. You drift from the pharaoh's serene chamber, the priestess's chant and the scent of lavender oil, fading like a whispered goodnight. Your feet glide through a darkened corridor, its walls bare, but for the faint glow of torchlight, guiding you toward the palace's quiet heart at midnight. The air is cool, scented with the faint musk of stone and the distant breath of the Nile, wrapping you in a stillness that feels eternal. Your breath slows, matching the soft creak of a distant shutter, and your body relaxes, sinking into the tranquil pulse of this ancient night. The world is asleep, and you're here, weightless, in a moment that feels like the edge of a dream. The palace at midnight is a labyrinth of shadows, its grand halls now silent, their columns looming like sentinels in the moonlight. You wander into a vast courtyard, open to the sky, where stars blaze above, their light pooling on the stone floor like spilled silver. A single palm tree sways at the center, its fronds rustling faintly, and you pause, catching the scent of damp earth from a nearby fountain, its water still as glass. The pharaoh sleeps, the court rests, and you're alone with the night, yet you feel safe, as if the gods themselves are watching. You inhale deeply, letting the cool air fill your lungs, and feel your eyelids grow heavy, lulled by the courtyard's gentle calm. You settle onto a stone bench, its surface cool against your skin, and gaze at the stars, their patterns unchanged since the pharaoh's time. History tells us that Egyptians, under rulers like Amenhotep III, saw the night as a sacred threshold, a time when Ra battled chaos to ensure the sun's return. This belief shaped their lives, from rituals to architecture, tying every moment to the cosmos. You wonder, what was it like to live in a world where the stars held your fate? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. The palm fronds whisper, and you feel a smile tug at your lips, soft and unforced. You notice a peculiar detail, a small clay amulet, shaped like a crescent moon, tucked into a crack in the bench. Here's a quirky fact. Egyptians often hid such charms in courtyards, believing they warded off night spirits. You chuckle quietly, imagining a servant sneaking out to place it, just in case. It's a reminder of the quiet fears in this world. Tying it to your own, haven't we all left a light on for comfort? Your body softens, your muscles loosening as you watch the fountain's surface ripple, catching a star's reflection. Let your breath deepen, matching the slow sway of the palm tree. The silence deepens, broken only by the distant hoot of an owl, its call soft as a sigh. Scholars still debate whether the palace's nighttime stillness was a time of vulnerability or spiritual renewal. Some say it was both, a moment when Egypt held its breath. The scene feels timeless, like stories your grandparents might have shared of quiet nights under a vast sky, dreaming of tomorrow. You glance at the stars, their light steady, and your heart warms, tying you to this ancient place. The scent of damp stone drifts over, and your shoulders sink, your mind drifting like a boat on the Nile's gentle current. The courtyard feels like a cradle, its stillness wrapping you in peace. You lean back, the bench's coolness soothing your spine, and let your eyes half close, carried by the rustle of fronds and the stars' gentle glow. You're safe here, held by the night's embrace, drifting through a world where every shadow is a promise of dawn. The Pharaoh's day is done, and so is yours, resting in the palace's tranquil heart. The palace at midnight is more than a place. It's a testament to a civilization that wove its dreams into the stars, its daily life into the rhythm of the Nile. You've walked through a day in the Pharaoh's court, from dawn's rituals to this quiet night, and seen how every moment, from bread to blessings, was a thread in Egypt's eternal tapestry. This is a lesson for us all to find meaning in the small, to cherish the connections that ground us, like the Pharaoh with his children or the scribes with their pens. What did this journey mean to you? How does it echo in your own life? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. I'd love to hear from you. If this story warmed your heart, please hit like and subscribe for more tales that carry you to sleep. Now, as the stars shine above Thebes, let your mind soften, your breath slow. The Nile flows on, the palace sleeps, and you're ready to drift into your own dreams, carried by the gentle glow of this ancient world.